Hey guys, hope you guys are doing well. It's been a while, and yeah, it's been a while, and it's officially 2026 now that at the time of this video. And yeah, we're so back to work right now. We've recently launched a few projects, and there's actually one project I wanted to kind of walk you guys through as well that I'm incredibly proud of. And also, again, I want to add a bit more intention for these kind of videos as well, for like these vlogs, rather than just having random sequences of my life. I want to kind of add more intention when it comes to showing the process and showing the behind the scenes of, let's say, how I design my work, how I deliver work for my clients, or how I, develop my projects and develop my creative websites. I want to be more intentional about that. So tonight, we're gonna walk through a project that I'm incredibly proud of. So just for context, this project that we've been doing is for a production house. Or they're not your traditional production house, they're more of like a consultant. So in a sense, they reached out to us back then, and then they told us they needed the website within 4 freaking days. When they told me during the call, I was like very hesitant. But after having like a conversation with them and just kind of listening on their current situation, I knew I wanted to take the project despite being such a tight timeline. Like, I usually don't take on projects within 4 days, but luckily it's only a splash page, or only like a temporary like website, so only a hero section. So that was fine, but 4 days is still pretty tight. But I took it regardless because they seem genuinely like passionate about what they do, and also they also seem like they respected what we do a lot. So they basically said that we're gonna be your best clients and we're gonna give you all the creative freedom to create this work for us. Yeah, we took the project and we spent the weekends to 1 day for discovery, 1 day for design, and then 2 days for development and QA. And then we launched right in time for their event. They had like a conference that's really big, and they're pitching their services there, I think. So that's why they kind of want a temporary website to kind of funnel people in after the conference. I think the conference itself is a very big conference. I think it's called Silicon Valley Video Summit, so a lot of big companies are there. So it's a really big opportunity for them to kind of funnel in and then build interest for their startup as well. Here's the final project. I'm gonna show it to you guys straight from the get-go, and then we can break down through quickly the design process and the development process as well. So here's the current website, very clean, very proud of this as well, especially now that it's been done within like 4 days. Yeah, it's just a quick value proposition here, building credibility and authority with like name drops. We have this pill shape here with like a contained shader and gradient, and the best thing about it, you can hold and interact with it. Really cool. And then we'll also design out some micrographics that kind of align with kind of the industry that they're in, and we'll also have this analog contact form just to break down the kind of the design process. So contextually, in order to be able to finish this within 4 days, we had to again like lock in so hard. But luckily, before they engaged with us, they already had like a lot of business context. So they had a document of their capabilities deck. They had a brand questionnaire that they filled out from like a previous agency that they've engaged before. So we kind of had all the business context with, so technically we didn't have to do a very thorough, and we didn't have to spend a lot of time within the discovery process. We only spent like around like 34 minutes to really understand a bit deeper about their situation and just ask any personal questions that we generally curious about. So we took all the information and kind of put it into Claude. If you guys are not aware, we usually do this for every project as well, is that once we have all the business context, all the documents that they provide, we put it into Claude and kind of use Claude as like a knowledge hub of the brand. So if we're like curious about anything, we can just ask Claude. And I think it's just really helpful to, rather than just going back and forth with the client, you can have all this information within Claude, and then you can ask to source from the documents that the clients provide us. And then when it comes to the design process itself, luckily the client had an aura deck where I like how they called it an aura deck when it's just like a mood board, but they had a very clear vision of how they want the brand to feel, or what kind of visual language they want to convey for their brand. So luckily we had that, and we did a lot of iteration based on that. As you can see here, there's a lot of different iterations. And again, this project we collaborated with Ivor, and we worked on this together, and we did a lot of iterations, mostly Ivor as well. But eventually we end up with these initial drafts of these two over here, these three, with also these micrographics, and a lot of it was just back and forth with the client as well. Like, when we had an iteration that we liked and we felt confident, we just texted the client right away. We got his feedback, and then we have more iterations here. And then eventually it narrowed down to these 4. And then eventually, after just getting feedback from them, we finalized it down to this one. So once that's done, we kind of move straight away to the development process. I won't go too deep into this, but one of the most challenging thing was definitely the shaders, the gradient. I didn't have any specific experience with creating like shaders gradient, but I did have a basic knowledge in it of how it's constructed, and there's also documentation that you can follow as well. So I kind of used like documentation from the book of shaders and a lot of resources online as well, from I think from Maxime Heckel and also Olivier LaRose. So there's a lot of resources online when you search it up. So I kind of combined, just did a lot of research on my end about those kind of initial knowledge, and also with the help of AI, of course. We did a lot of iteration based on kind of the documentation of the code examples as well. Kind of dropped it in AI to help me iterate a shaders or just help me spin up a project that I can experiment, I can tweak around with. And I think one of the biggest thing about using AI for coding is that you need prior knowledge somehow. Like you need to know what you're doing, when you need to know what you're specifically asking AI for. I feel like you won't get good results if you can just ask AI, oh, can you create a shader gradient for me with vanilla JavaScript? Most likely you would get a very mediocre result, or you either have to constantly go back and forth with Claude to get what you want, or eventually you get frustrated. My user experiences with coding with AI is have prior knowledge, do a lot of research on your own and learn on your own first. And then once you have that kind of jargon, that kind of basic knowledge of how things are constructed, then you can specifically ask Claude for a very specific output. So rather than asking for a basic shader, you can ask, oh, I want this shader gradient with mix of 3 and 4 colors. Also, I want to be able to manipulate the amplitude, the frequency, and it should also be in a sine wave. So if you're that specific of what you want, then the results from AI is usually so much better as well. And then we eventually created something like this. So yeah, and overall, we're very proud of this kind of project, especially given that it's been done within 4 days. And then now we're also working on the final version of the landing page. So this is just a temporary page, but now we're also designing the full landing page, the full kind of storytelling experience. So yeah, stay tuned for that. But I won't go any deeper than this, and hopefully you found it helpful somehow regarding just any part of the process. Yeah, I won't keep this too long. I feel like I've been yapping forever. So I'll probably wrap it up for the night since it's getting pretty late. Yeah, and then we'll be doing some climbing tomorrow. All right, good night. Cheers, guys. So close. I've been working on this for quite some time, a few weeks.
Is it the furthest you've been?
I think slightly further than I've been. But I think last time I also fell at a similar spot. Man, it's rough. It's so bumpy.
Was the fall scary?
Yeah, because it's like one clip above. It's built into the sport.
What is it?
It's like it's bungee jumping is built into the sport as well. I'll rest and I'll try again.
Let's keep going. How do you feel?
Truly tragic. Truly.
How many holes away are you?
Like 3 holes away.
Oh my god. Next time.
Yeah. If you guys can try climbing, I highly suggest it. Peak dopamine and peak flow.
You mean leading, right? Not just any climbing.
If you're already climbing, you should try to lead climbing. Hey guys, so I actually want to take this moment to kind of reflect more a bit about the business for 2026 or for the New Year's. If you guys don't know, I'm a very introspective person, so I think a lot when it comes to on like how to grow the business or how to collaborate with more awesome creatives or how to work with the right clients. So with that said, a few days back I did a bit of journaling of where I want to be for the business wise, for the studio, for monologue. It came with a few things when it comes to this year's goals. When I set goals for myself, I tend to not set very practical goals. I guess I tend to set goals that are a little bit bigger picture. So for 2026, one of the biggest goals that I want to move towards to, or at least achieve this year, is work on extremely fulfilling projects. Even though last year I took on only 7 projects, those projects were very profitable, but some projects didn't really fully align with creative side of things or the mission of the founders or the clients I was working with. So in a sense, they're still good projects, but not dream projects. So this year, instead of 7 projects, 2 or 3 are like dream projects and 4 or 5 are good or okay projects. I actually want to make it this year where they're all dream projects, like 7 to 8 dream projects. And now that I'm collaborating with more creatives, we could bump that to like 7 to 10 dream projects where the mission of the founders or the clients that we're working with really align with this. And when we choose clients, we really want to focus on if the mission of the founders are incredibly ambitious or very personal to us. That's when we put all of our efforts, all of our creativity, all of our energy into that to create really awesome work that creates insane results for them. So that's kind of the main vision for 2026, is extremely fulfilling projects where every time I finish a project, I want it to be more of like a long-lasting relationship, where rather than like a fully transactional relationship, we're actually helping each other out. If the client needs something, or if on our end, if we need something, we can reach out to them as well. So more of like a beneficial mutual relationship where we truly connect founder to founder rather than like a client to freelancer or like client to an agency. So that's one of the biggest goals for this year. And number 2 is deliverability. So one of the biggest problem that we've had last year is finishing projects on time, on deadline. So I would say most of the projects we've done last year go over the estimated timeline. So usually we would say this project needs to be done within 2 months, but it would get extended to 3 or 4 months. And then imagine when we work on like 2 or 3 projects at the same time, and the delays kind of carry over and we start new project at the same time, kind of damages our margins in a sense where we're still stuck with this project and then we're starting new projects as well. Because of that, we are not able to kind of put all of our attention into the new projects because we're trying to like a speed run, like finishing the projects that is supposed to be done a month or 2 months back, but we're trying to wrap it up because, you know, we're still waiting clients to give us content, or we're still waiting for clients to give us copy, or 2 is that we're just so busy with things that we're not able to finish it on time. So that was one of the biggest problems, or one of the biggest challenge I want to solve for the studio, is nailing the deliverability of the project and meeting the deadlines, so that number 1, we're saving margins, number 2, we're maximizing for client satisfaction, and number 3, we're also putting all of our attention and energy on the current projects rather than the ones that is supposed to be done already. So that's the main goal. And then number 3, I'd say as I'm kind of scaling the studio, I'm also kind of exploring the potential or the opportunity of expanding more on the brand strategy side of things, or the brand visual identity side of things as well, kind of expanding beyond web for this year. So rather than, you know, just focusing explicitly on web, I mean, I think that's something that we still want to be on the edge with. Like, that's our unfair advantage, is being extremely good on the web and delivering website designs and like experiences that, you know, really create strong results for our clients. We also want to explore like the brand strategy side of things, of I guess, building a brand from start to finish rather than a website itself, even though it's just something that we're kind of exploring. But as I was kind of building the monologue studio or building the brand itself, there's just so many like kind of small things that makes a brand feel something, you know. I think I've been inspired a lot by studios like Mouthwash Studio or Pentagram, other studios that create really awesome branding and like I guess brand experiences that makes you feel something. I think that's just really makes me feel really captivated in that kind of dimension. So that's something I want to explore in the future as well. I think one of the biggest playground for me to experiment with that is my own like studio. So Monologue. Right now we're kind of like really focusing on the narrative and the story-driven side of things of, you know, brand and the web. So just something that feels incredibly grounded in the human side of things and just expressing the empathy and the caring side of our work. So that's something that's kind of the foundation of the studio. So it will be very interesting. Right now we're kind of exploring how we can communicate that visually as well, especially that we're also a very technically and very design driven studio as well. So how do we connect this technical side of things and merge it with like a very human and very personal and very empathetic feel of the brand? How do we merge those two together? So that's kind of like the visual direction I want to kind of bring the studio or bring the brand into one piece. But yeah, so those are kind of the goals at the moment right now. Well, overall, I'm very, very excited. Hopefully I'm expressing my thoughts and my goals here well here. Usually I communicate or I note it down very clearly, very, I guess, organized on my journal, but it's a totally different story when I speak to the camera or about my goals. Yeah, I think that's kind of the vision I want to head because the world is constantly changing, especially with AI and everything. So I don't know where I'm going at this point. I'm kind of yapping and spitballing at the moment, but yeah, those are kind of the goals for this year, and I really want to really nail down those 3 things for this year, and I actually want to take you guys throughout the journey as well and see if I actually commit and follow through with those goals. So yeah, that's pretty much all. I'm gonna end it here. So yeah, take care, and till next time.